Hello and welcome to the story behind the stories for the July 8th edition of the Neepawa Banner Press. I'm your host this week, Casper Wehrhahn, writer, photographer, and archivist for the Neepawa Banner Press, and I'm joined this week by my coworker Kira. Kira, you do a lot of great work at the paper, and thank you for joining me today.
Yes, and thank you for being here too, so I wasn't here by myself.
I think I've said before, but I would probably really struggle as a solo host for the show. When you have someone else on here with you, it's easy to bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
But I feel like I would sort of flounder by myself, honestly.
Yeah, you'd run out of stuff to talk about, right?
Yeah, I'd probably go through it so quickly.
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly. Well, and I think there was maybe one time when Owen did it by himself, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, avid watchers, but I believe that there was one time when Owen did it by himself, and I don't know how he did it, but I do know he's a radio guy, so he was paid to talk for like half his life, so he knows how to fill some time.
Yes, he does a great job of it. He cuts the times really, really close a lot of the time. He does great filling out the show. And I do apologize. I'm coming out of a bit of a week-long cold almost, so I might sound a little bit nasally or congested, but bear with me here. But getting right into the paper, we had obviously some Canada Day celebrations last Friday. It was a great event. I was able to go down there for a little bit before I got my cold and had to sort of shut myself in the house, and it looked like it was a great time. And Owen, once again, great work. Carrie mentioned that he put this page together, but marvelous front page showing off some of the photos there. It's just a great setup there. Some bubbles going on. There was the reptile gardens there. That's always a very popular thing. They had all sorts of reptiles and even a chinchilla, actually.
Oh, really?
It was really cool to see.
Cool.
Yeah. Everyone was just lining up there, and some people actually got to hold this really big snake, which I believe there's a picture of on page 10 as well. We have some more photos there. And the new fire truck was there too, and people were able to get a really close look at that as well, even sit in it, so that was really interesting. Now, Kira, did you happen to be in town for the celebrations this year?
I wasn't there during the day. I didn't get to see all of the daytime festivities, but I did make it in for the fireworks, which is always my favorite part of it anyway. I have to be honest here, I tried to get some photos of the fireworks just with my phone, because I've been able to get some decent pictures of things with my phone before. So I thought I would give it a try, and not a single one worked out. They were all like focused on the person standing in front of me instead of on the sky. It was just bad. So luckily, John Drinkwater, one of our reporters and our ad salesman, he also does a lot of work with NACTV. He was there filming it for NACTV, and we were able to take some stills from his video of the fireworks display. So we were able to get some images of the fireworks here, but they weren't thanks to me, unfortunately. But yeah, I always love that part. The only thing I don't like about it is the crazy amounts of mosquitoes that are always there during the fireworks. But it's still such a cool display. And this year, I think it was a little bit bigger and better than in years past, because they had gone 2 years without doing anything. So they had kind of saved up a little bit of extra money from that. So
yeah, that was pretty awesome. They did have a bit of a bigger budget this year, and they weren't quite sure how much more they were going to be able to do with it just because of inflation, but it did get extended for a decent while, and it sounds like it was a spectacular event to go and see. Obviously I didn't spectate it myself, but I did kind of see it a little bit, and I heard it from my house too, so that was pretty cool. And it was actually kind of funny. I was sitting and talking over the phone with some people, and they're down in the States, and you know, it's July. Their day isn't here yet, but they're pretty notorious down there for getting started quite early. So at the same time our fireworks are going on, my friends also had fireworks going on in the background.
they're pre-4th of July fireworks.
Yeah, so I'll probably go on for, no, it should be done now, but you never know. There's some people that celebrate a little bit late too.
Maybe they bought too many and didn't get to use them all up that night, so now they have to use them throughout the week. Who knows?
That as well, yes. We actually have some other stuff that's been going on outside of Neepawa too. That's pretty awesome to hear about. Something in Carberry. Now, Kira, you did this story. Walk us through this.
Yeah, so I kind of keep an eye on stuff in Carberry, mostly through their community foundation. They get involved in a lot of stuff that's going down there. They help fund quite a few things. And I saw them share this on Facebook because they had given a grant for it. The Carberry Area Recreation actually was able to purchase roller skates, I believe 54 pairs of roller skates to use in their rink, so that their rink can be used for skating in the summer too, but without ice. So I thought that was kind of a really neat story. It's very unique because I don't think we have anything like that in Neepawa. I haven't really heard anything about anything like that in other communities around the area, like Gladstone or Minnedosa or anything like that. So I thought this is a kind of a neat little story to kind of spotlight something new happening in Carberry, and kind of exciting new summer activity, like, people go to the pool and stuff like that. But other than that, there's not always a ton to do, like if you're into more of the winter sports, which a lot of the Canadian small town people are, and that kind of thing, then summer can sometimes be a little bit boring. So it was really cool that Carberry Rec and Cara Burney, who is the manager of Leisure Services, she was able to get this going. She got a grant from, as I mentioned, Carberry Community Foundation, but also Healthy Together Now, which I believe it's either a provincial or a federal, basically it's something to get people healthy, either active or nutrition type of things. So she got a couple grants to be able to pay for these roller skates. So it's really cool. They also got a grant from the Youth in Philanthropy group from the Carberry Collegiate, and they were able to buy disco lights and a disco ball for it. So it's kind of like a retro throwback disco roller rink type thing. They don't have the lights just yet, so I wasn't able to get any pictures from that, but it's really, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and they've started this program already. Every Saturday they're going to be able to have people out there roller skating in the rink. It just looks like it would be really fun.
Yeah, it really sounds like it. It's kind of cool that they're going with that theme, and in general it's kind of awesome to see that sort of thing coming back, because it was pretty big back in the day, specifically the 80s sort of time period there. And I don't know, it used to be a very common thing, a very popular thing, and just a great way for people to get out there, even if it's, not winter, for some sort of sports thing in an arena. And it's just cool to see this coming back. It'd be awesome if there's interest here in Neepawa for the Yellowhead to do something like that as well, because it is a very big space there in that arena, so that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and it does get used for functions once in a while in the summertime, but for the most part, if nothing is booked there, then it kind of sits empty. So it would be cool to see some life back into it during the summertime too, right?
Yeah, because aside from, booked events and whatnot that happen here and there in the summer, I know the school uses it sometimes for some larger like gym stuff. I know we've done it for lacrosse?
Yeah.
I think lacrosse, yeah. So, if it can be used for more stuff like this, I think it'd be a great use of the arena, and, just get more use out of it, really. And, it'd be awesome to have some more support for it through different avenues like that as well, because it's a big building. Obviously, it'll have big bills, and, we need more activities to do for youth and adults alike, because without things like that, what do you do, right?
Yeah.
People get bored and, have nothing better to do, so...
And they go and vandalize things, those darn young children.
Get up to mischief, yeah. And, that, I think you mentioned that already, but that's actually part of why this is being done in Carberry, is that it was commented that, we don't really have like a whole lot to do in the warm months, so now this has come along, and it sounds like it'll be a big hit.
Yeah, hopefully.
And we're hopefully going to have some more transformations here. From gravel into pavement, fingers crossed, very soon. because Davidson Street is finally going to get paved very soon. Hopefully.
Depends on your definition of soon, I guess.
Yeah, it's something that people have been asking about for quite a while. When's it going to get paved? Because, it's still gravel. It's been, turned up for a while now, and it just gets bumpy really fast, and it's not really a great road to drive down. And, if the high winds gust up, you get a whole bunch of dust in your face. I unfortunately was driving past there one time with my window down and just happened to get a breeze and just, oof. It was not nice. But I talked to Denis Saquet, I believe is how you pronounce the last name. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. And what's been putting this off actually hasn't been contractor availability, as might have been presumed, but it's actually just been purely the weather. They are still in contract with Maple Leaf from last year, so that's being honored. But it just really depends on the weather conditions. With the weather that we've been having, Maple Leaf's schedule all across the board has been pushed back quite a bit. And then, of course, you need favorable weather in general just for, the applications of the product you're putting down to actually, bond properly and whatnot. So the current schedule for that, they knew they were going to be into July, and it was looking like late July when I talked to Denis there. But it is looking like late July, probably August. So that will hopefully be getting done by August at the latest. As well, the town is working on some more drainage improvements for that street right now before that gets done. And they are hopefully, or they're not hopefully, they are looking at getting that done probably in the next couple of weeks. So we're seeing progress there.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, I know. Well, and it's been kind of just dirt/gravel roads since Kinsman Court 2 was being worked on, because they had to do some digging up for the utilities there. And so it just has felt like a really long time. I think it's maybe been about a year now. And it just, I used to always park on that street, so to me it annoys me because it's like I don't really want to park on the lumpy gravel spots, and I've just kind of been a little bit more annoyed maybe than the average person, just because it does affect my day-to-day parking spot. But it was necessary work that needed to get done, that it got dug up. It's not that it just kind of crumbled away and started being getting worse and worse as it never got any attention. That's not at all what happened. It was that it had to get dug up. So it is understandable, and obviously it kind of got dug up in the late summer, early fall, and then winter came, so they couldn't do anything there. So now it's kind of finally able to hopefully happen. It's just that this spring and summer has kind of been unfavorable, obviously, for all the rain and the cold and the late blizzard and all that kind of thing. So I have been very eager to see it get paved, but I maybe haven't been as like, stupid town is being slow, as some people maybe, because I've seen why it has to happen. Being in the news industry, we kind of know a little bit of the background of why it had to be like that, and why it's taking so long and that kind of thing. Yeah,
it can certainly still be bothersome, of course. Like, you want your streets to be nicely paved and not get bumpy like every week. Yeah. But the circumstances are totally understandable. So totally sympathize with the town and its workers there on that. I'm sure they have likely been hearing some comments potentially regarding it. Just, people wondering when it's going to be done. So hopefully that answers people's questions, and they'll be excited to see the new pavement put down. Moving on to our next story here, I did some digging of my own actually quite recently. We had in the paper before, some might remember, that we were doing sort of like a call to get more information or photos if possible regarding Norgate and why it maybe disappeared. And so this week we have the first Norgate story. Unfortunately, I didn't find specifics on why it disappeared. But that can happen for a variety of reasons. Norgate itself is a very small village, but if you don't have enough services there, a very strong economy, maybe people just move away, or services have disappeared, such as the rail service. I know that ended up getting removed because they were cutting back on some rail lines. We still have ours here passing through Neepawa, but it doesn't actually have a station here. But Norgate's was removed completely, so that was one of the services that ended up disappearing. But this week, I focus on the village, the school, and the church that were there. There was actually quite a lot to write about, so I had to split them into 3 different parts. But it was kind of interesting to work on, both because I didn't know a whole lot about the community, and because I usually do some supplemental research online, like try and get some stuff from the Manitoba Historical Society. But this was pretty unique, Kira, because for the first time ever, I think there was absolutely nothing.
Really?
I didn't find anything.
Wow. That surprises me.
Yeah, I think I have like one short snippet that had been listed in an entry for the school or something. Okay. But it was just that, most of the community had disappeared by like 1970 something, I think it was. 1971. Most of the community was like gone by then. And other than that, that was it. That was it. There was nothing. I was so surprised, because usually there's like something, maybe even a couple extra sentences, but I just found that little bit. But thankfully we did have in our trusty library a McCreary book there that sort of covered the area, mostly McCreary stuff, but a little bit of the rural municipality as well surrounding it. And that thankfully did include Norgate. So there was a decent chunk of information in there, obviously, as I was able to have enough for 3 different parts. But it was a very interesting venture, and I'm excited for people to read it.
Yeah, I was excited when I saw that stuff was done already. And I had remembered hearing about some of the calls that you got and some photos that were sent in and stuff like that. So, because there had been a call put out in the paper if anybody knew anything about what happened to Norgate. So it was cool that there was some feedback, and you were able to feature some of the pictures and some of the information from these people that did call, plus obviously the McCreary history book. I think I've used the McCreary history book for some things, and they are very detailed. They have a lot of information in there, so it was really cool that you were able to dig up some stuff on Norgate, because I honestly didn't even know that it was a place until I did a story on a gentleman who turned 100 a few months back, and he called himself the little boy from Norgate, because that was where he grew up. And I was like, where the heck is Norgate? So now I know a little bit more about this place. It's cool.
Yeah, it was really awesome to learn about, and a lot of the calls I did make, unfortunately, were to some people that were a little bit young at the time to really remember growing up there, or have a lot of memories from there. But it did help a lot in some regards anyway, so that was really cool. I got to, just talk to them in general, and, hear about the little bits that they did remember, and just sort of confirm some details as well, because that's nice to do. And yeah, I found out some pretty interesting stuff. It was established in like 1985, so that's really cool. That's a year older than the lifetime of our newspaper, actually, because our newspaper was 1986, I believe, was the first Neepawa Press.
18.
Okay,
right?
never mind.
Okay.
Scratch that. Wait, no, sorry.
1985 was when the cairn
date.
was up here.
Yes, okay, 1985, okay, yeah. I mixed up my numbers
and
there.
1895, was when it was. And yeah, I think 1896 was when the banner, or the press, originated, I think.
So still correct. Just spoke the wrong number.
Just in the wrong order, it's all
Yes,
fine.
yes. So yeah, that's really awesome. The town is sort of older than our newspaper. That's pretty cool. At least in terms of like when it was formed anyway, because obviously it disappeared before our newspaper, which is still going. So yeah, and I was able to sort of confirm those dates with the school being established, and then of course later was moved into Norgate itself. It was actually originally established outside of Norgate, and then later moved into it. And it was actually originally called Montcalm School, and later renamed to Camden. And I had come across a reason as to why that was, but when I went back to find it again, I could not find it for the life of me. So I unfortunately couldn't list that, but once it moved into Norgate, it was called Norgate School. And yeah, there's a bit of history of the church as well. They didn't always have a church, so it used to just be within people's homes and that sort of thing. And they finally built the church in 1920. So you can check out all of that history and more on page 3. And hopefully you do take the time to read it, because it's pretty cool to learn about stuff like this. And, just sort of remember that village, that area, and all it had to share, even though it's not around anymore. And, yeah, hopefully who knows, maybe it'll stir up some memories. We have a update, actually, that people have likely been hoping to hear from Health Canada on page 11. And this was another story that Kira has been covering. I think you did the first story regarding the front of packaging labels for different products. So tell us what has changed.
Yeah, so for those who maybe didn't see it or don't remember, I ran the first edition or version of this story in the Last Farmer's Advocate. And basically what the plan was is that the front of packaging labels would be mandated by Health Canada to be on food products that are high in saturated fat, sodium, or sugar, I believe, which they call nutrients of concern. And there were some exemptions, and they talked about these exemptions from the start. Things like milk, eggs, fruits and vegetables. And they also mentioned whole cuts of meat, but they didn't exempt ground beef, ground pork, things like different ground meats. And some of the producers had a major issue with that, because that didn't really make sense to them, and it didn't really make sense to us either when we were talking about it in the office, because it's literally just the same thing as this steak, but it's been ground up, and maybe there's a little bit more fat in it because it's a little bit of a fattier cut, but it's still a whole ingredient. It's nutrient dense, it's healthy as a whole, as long as you don't put a whole bunch of salt and whatever other stuff in it when you're cooking it. But when you purchase ground beef, it's just beef. So there was a lot of pushback from the Canadian Cattlemen's Association, Manitoba Beef Producers, other production associations across the country, saying this doesn't make sense. Why would you do this? Why would you make people think that ground beef is less healthy than a steak? And so there was a lot of pushback, and the update to the story is that now what was a proposed label is now approved, but they have added the ground meats to the exemption list. So there will still be these labels on front of packages, but ground beef, ground pork, ground chicken, other types of things like that won't have that label that will make people think that it's unhealthy, because it is still a healthy choice, as opposed to buying a sausage that has been filled with chemicals and salt and whatever other ingredients that would make it high in sodium or or fats or whatever else. So this is kind of a win. The Canadian Cattlemen's Association, I have some quotes from them in there. They're very happy with how that turned out. And I think pretty much everyone in general is happy, because even people that weren't cattle producers were annoyed by this, because they they know cattle producers. We live in a rural area. We know a lot of farmers, and they felt for them and they thought, this doesn't make any sense. Why would you do it this way? So it's a good story, good news. Good in that there will be more health labels for people to be able to make healthier choices in the grocery stores, but also good in that there isn't going to be this conflicted message of these meats are healthy, but these meats aren't healthy, right? So I was glad to be able to see that press release from the government about that, and that they did add that to the exemption list. And I was glad to be able to share that because I know a lot of people had that kind of top of mind lately.
Yeah, I'm very thankful you were able to get this update because, yeah, like you said, I feel like I know what they're trying to do with these labelings, but it was sort of like, you know, unfairly painting that sort of product out to be less healthy when actually it's like totally fine. But yeah, obviously like things that are more processed, like sausages that have, you know, gone through whatever it needs to go through to make it that product, will have different nutritional values than just the straight whole ground beef or ground pork or whatever it is. So now that it's changed, it's going to be more accurate and people don't have to worry so much, especially, you know, cattle producers and whatnot that would have otherwise had their product labeled inaccurately. So we have another kind of story. We just did a photo for this to cover, and this was for, what was this for? This was for the 2020 awards, was it?
Yes.
Right, 2020 MCNA awards. We've been wondering about the results for this for a while. Their review process, I think, had gotten delayed a bit just with all the stuff going on, but we finally have found out the results for our 2020 MCNA awards, and we actually did get a few awards. Kira, would you like to tell us about this?
Yeah, so for those who don't know what MCNA, that's Manitoba Community Newspapers Association, and we as a community newspaper are part of this association, and every year they kind of go over some of the different stories and photos and different things like that for all of the member papers, and they will pick the top 3 for a ton of different categories. And we didn't, I don't believe, get first in anything this year, but we did get in the top 3 for several different things. We got best editorial page. I think that was a second place, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And then we got second place for a photo essay, which was Owen, John, and a community member, John Luigi Pito. They all had some amazing pictures of the flood from 2020 when the Park Lake Dam broke. And we put it together in a photo essay center spread, and that got second place for best photo essay. And then Owen also got second or third place for best education story about when the middle school opened. So that was really exciting. We had been waiting for a very long time, wondering when they were going to send us the 2020 stuff, because usually they'll send 2020 in the kind of beginning of 2021. And then we'll find out the 2021 stuff in 2022. So we will still find out 2021 stuff eventually, but we finally heard back about some of these stories and photos and things like that we had submitted to be reviewed, and we were very proud that we won a few awards. Every year we will get 1 or 2, sometimes 3, but yeah, it's always kind of a little source of pride for us to be recognized by the whole provincial association.
Yeah, for sure. And really quickly before we wrap up here, because we are running short on time, it's awesome that we sort of had a unique year and had a community member win an award with us. So congratulations, John Luigi Pito, on doing that.
And thank you for sending the photos for us to
use. We always appreciate it. Yeah. But we are short on time, so we have to wrap up now. thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. If you want to send in some news or news tips or photos, please do that at news@neepawabanner.com or give us a call at 204-476-3401. You can do the same if you would like to book an ad with us. Call that same number or contact us at ads@neepawabanner.com. From myself and Kira as well, thank you again for joining us, and we will see you next week.